Okay, I'm back. Sorry for the brief interruption there. Okay, so we were going to do the next available line, which is deploy one. I'm sorry, we did the deploy. Now we're going to activate the 4th and 10th Armor Divisions. Okay, so the next thing is there is no 10th Armor on here. The 10th Armor, I believe, comes out tomorrow. See right there? You can see the 10th Armor is sitting on December 17th. So they want to deploy the 10th Armor, but there's no 10th Armor on the map. So the only activation would be the 4th. And the 4th has 1 unit. Now there's a rule, and I don't remember it, but I know the rule exists. So we're going to go look it up together. And that's part of what you're going to have to do with this game, is look it up together. And in fact, maybe our guide is going to help us. Let's see if it has it in here. This will be a nice test of this solo guide. So there are several sections. This is the supply phase. Then it goes to the command phase. That's when we are doing our commands. So you want to get past that. And then this is a German attack. So go past that. And then eventually you want to get to the Allied impulse. That's where we're at. Okay, so we're trying to see if a unit is going to activate. And actually it is on a player aid right here. So I'll show you the player aid too. Let me see if I can find it on here. So here we go, activation, okay? So the core wants to activate. So right here, that's it right there. This is the very first line. If the core has only 0 or 1 unit on the map, you have to go to the next command. Sorry, my hand's blocking it here. See where it says if the core has only 0 to 1 unit on the map, proceed to the next command. There's only 1 unit on the map. So this is called the core is shattered rule. Let me show you some more information on that. This is the player aid, and when they want to activate, you have to follow a checklist. Is there any unit in that core that's going to activate? Do they satisfy any of these conditions? Okay, and but then there's this exception, shattered core 10.71, and so that's the rule that I'm talking about, that you have to remember. You don't have to remember it. I mean, it's right here on the player aid, but you get in such a habit of just looking at these bullets and saying, is it this, is it this, is it this? But then you forget that at the bottom that there's this exception. The 30th Corps is the British units. That's a different one. Don't worry about the British units right now. But the Shattered Corps is real, and that's what's happening here. Now, the Corps is not necessarily shattered. We haven't done anything to them, but they're definitely not deployed. So they still qualify as a Shattered Core criteria. Now, and maybe I'm overkilling this, but this is the kind of stuff that I forgot in my first campaign, is to check for these things. So that's why I'm stressing them, because this is the stuff that it's important, and you can't miss them. The Shattered Ally Core, if it has no units or just 1, do not activate the core. Instead of proceed to the next command. Okay, so very simple, very elegant, but that means we are doing the engineer event. That's what's going to happen on the Allied turn. So we went down 2 different rabbit holes and realized we had to come back out. And that's when you're managing the Allied turn in the AI, that's a common thing you may have to do. Now, as this game goes on and they have a lot more units on the map, you may get to a point where they're just always activating. And when they're always activating, they're putting a world of hurt on you. So you sort of like it when they're not activating, because that way you know your units aren't going to die. Okay, so let's move on. There is a rule that John Butterfield posted. And I know a few people have commented on my YouTube videos, hey, that's not a rule, but it is. And it's not related to this, but I just want to point out that there's a rule related to when a unit is dispersed, okay? And I want you guys to just write this down, because it's not in the rule book. at least not to my knowledge. And John Butterfield put it on Board Game Geek, and I can link it again if I need to. But if all units are dispersed in a stack or in a battle, the ally does not draw an undetected defender. Now, I know you guys don't know what undetected defender is because we haven't dealt with that, but if you can write that down, that will save you some heartache in the future. Okay, so with that said, let's do event engineers. So we grab the event player aid. One side is German, but remember this is the Allied Engineers event. Now, there's Engineers Combat Tactics. See how it says Combat Tactic? And then there's Engineers the event. You need to do the event, not the combat tactic, okay? And by the way, this is going to be a crappy event. I'm not going to enjoy it. Okay, Engineers. Conduct one of the following in priority order. Replace a roadblock that's in a VP hex or an allied supply with a reserve unit, okay? There's no roadblocks on the map, so we're spared that. But that doesn't mean that it's a good thing. So we're going to skip number 1. Number 2, place a roadblock marker in an unoccupied road position, remember the keyword position, hex, with a hold value greater than or equal to 3, within 2 hexes of a supplied German unit, in Allied and German communication, and not adjacent to an Allied unit. Boy, that's a mouthful, isn't it? Okay, so it has to be a position hex. That's those orange circles, right? Has to be an orange circle. Has to be within 2 paces of an engineer or German. So right here, this is within 2 spaces of a German. This is 3 or more. Ooh, we may have something going on. However, it needs to be in communication of both units. This is not in communication with Germans because see the zone of control by this one and the zone of control by this one cuts the Germans off. The Germans do not have communication to this space. So that's the kind of check we're going to have to do, but it's not limited to just this squiggly line. It's the entire map. Okay, so that's what they want us to do. They want us to go check for that. And it can't be next to an allied unit, which actually this one was a wonderful candidate. If it wasn't for the German communication requirement, this one would have definitely gotten one. But there's some other candidates, and we'll just have to go look at those. Now, German communication can get a little wonky because here you can see Germans have zone of control in the same spot that the Americans have zone of control. So which one has the communication? And that's where the player aid here is very helpful. So a communication path as a hex or a unit is in communication with a map edge. If a path of hexes of any length can be traced from the hex or unit for which communications be traced. Oh, the unit itself could be in an enemy zone of control, but you can't go through an enemy zone of control. Communication and supply may not be traced through enemy towns or city hexes, across enemy bridges, or through hexes occupied by or in the zone of control of enemy units. Friendly units negate zone of control in the hex they occupy. So they have to actually be in the hex. Allied supply may not be traced through the west wall, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so definitely not. This has zone of control, this has zone of control. There is no German communication going through this spot, so this one is not a candidate either. Now, this one is not a candidate. Do you remember why? Because he's next to an allied unit. So they said the cardinal rule is it can't be next to an allied unit. So now I think we're going to find one, and that's what these other markers are for. So these are both next to the German within 2 spaces on a road position, but there's a reason those don't qualify. Do you remember? Let me show you. It has to have a hold value of greater than or equal to 3. So these ones only have a hold value of 2, so they don't count. This one is too far away. Here's a 3, but it's next to an allied unit. This is a 2, but it's not high enough. This is a 3, but it's next to an allied unit. So I just went up and down, and this is the part where you get your anxiety, right? Did I miss something? Did I forget to check something? I think I checked the entire map, and there's not a qualifying position. It's not a surprise, because at the start of the game, the Allies have basically gap control, meaning the Germans have no breakthrough across the entire map. Now, we do have one breakthrough here, but I don't know if it's by design or what, but this is actually, ooh, hold on, right here. This bridge was over it. Look at that, that's a 3. It's within 2 spaces of a German unit. Uh-oh, we may have found one, folks. Let's check. Okay. So it has to be an unoccupied road position. Check. With a hold value of 3. Check. Within 2 hexes of a supplied German unit. Check. In Allied and German communication. Ooh. Check. And here's why. This can go to here and then right through to German side. And it can go any direction you'd like and be an Allied communication. It is in both communication. Oh, that is awesome. Well, it's not awesome because this is going to be bad. But and then it says if there's more than one, it goes into the highest. I don't think we have more than one, although I need to check these bridge spots just to make sure. Just checking. Ooh, he's not within 2. And no German communication, so no worries there. Yeah, I think that spot is going to get one. If we weren't able to place a roadblock, we'd have to go to priority 4, which is not any better, okay? So, and then possibly a blown bridge marker after day 17, but we're not worrying about that right now. So yes, it is going to be placed. And then the tiebreaker after highest value is northernmost, but there's only one. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab, it's this on one side, but it's that on the other. This is a roadblock marker. And the roadblock marker is going to go right here. Now, what is a roadblock? Well, the first thing a roadblock is if we move next to one, we have to stop. That's the first thing. If we activate during our turn and we're next to one, we're going to do a check to see if one of those reserve units is going to pop in. There's a possibility a unit is there. If you've ever played, what's it called? It's not Conflict of Heroes. Something of here. Yeah, maybe it is Conflict of Heroes. And then they have the solo expansion, Awakening the Bear. This is the equivalent of those question mark guys. So you can, there's something there, but we aren't sure. I mean, there's for sure a roadblock, but that roadblock could be accompanied by some units. So we will have to check that roadblock. And then also at the beginning of every day, we do some roadblock checks as well. Those checks may or may not eliminate the roadblock. It all depends. But anyways, that's where I believe it's going to go. So that wraps up the Allied turn. Now, had there not been a roadblock, then an improvement position would have been placed, and we would have had some logic on where that goes. And improvement positions are not very good because it just makes it harder to destroy Allied units. So when you're done, it goes there, and now it's back to our turn. Okay, we now have only a command value of 5 from here on out. 10, to be quite honest with you, was a tad too much. 5 is a very wonderful number. This number gets much lower than 5 in the future, and then that's not quite as nice. But 5 is a very nice number. Now, just to refresh from yesterday, we activated the first SS core, which is these yellow units. And so I printed this out from Board Game Geek. It's just a picture of all the order of battle. And then we also activated the these light blue. So the reason I'm putting those there is I'm not allowed to activate those this impulse, right? So whoever activated the last impulse is not allowed to activate during this impulse. Now, we can still do reinforced battle. We can still do assault support. They can still participate in battles through combat tactics, but we can't activate them through our cards. So, I got a really awesome card here, the 5th Panzer Army. I'm sorry, not that one, the 6th Panzer Army. But the thing with the 6th Panzer Army is it's primarily the yellow core. So I can't activate them this turn. So I'm going to camp on this. We're going to just hold that for some other time. This one and this one are both near identical. And to be honest, this is a sweet thing to do. Now, we do have this bridge engineers. And remember I told you these purple units need to get across the river somehow? So let's look up what the bridge engineer event does. We happen to have allied units on the other side, so we may or may not be able to do this. Okay, play during the supply phase or during your impulse to repair a destroyed bridge or build a new bridge. German supply must be traced to at least 1 hex, which it is, and neither hex bordering the hex side may be occupied by or in a zone of control of an allied unit. And you may not do it during the first impulse. Okay, so we're not going to be able to do that because what it's saying is, so if I wanted to repair this bridge right here, I have supply, that part's a check, but allies can't have any zone of control on this hex side. So this is the hex side here. So if they have zone of control for this hex, then that is on that hex side. So I have to get this particular unit out of there, and if I can get them beaten back, then I can repair this bridge. That might actually be what I want to do. I played the last game where I repaired none of the bridges, and this particular unit took a very long time to get across the river. And once they did, they started kicking some serious butt, but it was too little too late. That was my lesson learned. This is my power right now. This one and the yellow units up there. Those are my power forces, with these blue ones being pretty decent, but the power is here. And so that means this guy's days need to be numbered. So what can I do to make this happen? Well, I need to activate them. That's what I need to do. So I'm going to play this card to activate them. And I'm not going to play this one because I'm going to save this so I can maybe build the bridge in a future turn. Now, here's an important point. When I activate these guys, just like I explained, next impulse, I won't be able to activate them again. However, I can always play the event card from there, because that's not activating. Activating them is this particular action. You see that? I can do any of these other actions, even though these guys were activated last impulse. I can do any of these other actions, and it doesn't, there's no game rule against that. It's just that I can't activate them twice in a row. All right, I hope that makes some sense. Feel free to ask me questions if you need to. So I'm going to save this because I want to basically kick this guy's butt and then maybe have the bridge engineers come in and repair the bridge so we can get across the bridge and do some damage, okay? So how do we do this then? So I'm going to activate them, and I want to see what other cards I have. This one I am for sure not playing. This is a powerful, powerful card. We're going to just set that aside and save it for when the dish is best served cold. So now I got fixed artillery, which is nice, but that's not helping me. I don't have any cards that are helping me. What am I looking for? I'm looking for the ability to maybe get a combat reinforcement or something like that. So we do have an issue where we're a little limited. Okay, so let me show you what I mean by limited, and then what kind of things can we do to fix it. So we're going to be doing this attack here on these purple units. And I hope you can see them okay. I have my camera propped up here. Everybody's going to get to activate, and they're going to get to move. Now, I want to take this guy out, but there's a river in the way. And the only way you can cross a river is you have to first be next to the river at the start of your move, and it takes your entire move to go across the river. Okay? That's the first issue. The second issue is if there's no bridge or a blown up bridge, only one unit per hex side can cross a river. So I cannot take both of these units and move them across the river. That's not allowed. But what I can do is move one of them. So I'm going to do that. So this unit's going to come across. Same here. I cannot cross the river. Well, he's in zone of control. But what I could have done is moved from here to there, right? That is allowed from a river perspective, but it's not allowed because I'm in his zone of control. So I can't move from his zone of control to another zone of control. But otherwise, let's say this unit wasn't there, I could have moved one of these units over like that, because that's a different river hex side than this one. Okay, so that's just trying to explain how the river hex side thing works. So the best I have is 2 units from here and 3 units from here attacking him. And then these other units, I can move them, but I can't do anything special with them. So not quite sure what I want to do. This is to move onto this woods hex here is 3 movement points, and then to move here is 3 more. So he can only move onto the road, and that's the best he can do. But getting onto the road is a good thing to do. Just like these guys are going to spend 4 movement points to get on this road. I know it's a step backwards, but now that they're on a road, they can just spend 1 movement point to move along the road. I could have maybe tried to move here, but we have units in the way in both directions, and I want to keep this stacked together. So I was able to get them out of the woods, but it wasn't ideal movements for either of them. But that's the problem with these purple units. I want to get them across the river. And the other nice thing, though, is we do have a bridge here. We can get across if we're able to get up the road. So we either have to move seriously up the road, or if we can clear this, we can go right through. Now this unit moved here. This is a woods terrain. The woods cost 3 for a mechanized unit. So it costs 3 to move into this woods terrain here. And it would cost 3 more again because we're leaving a road to enter another road. If I can follow the road, it's no big deal. But to go from here to there is 3 movement. And anyways, it's just too much. And then this being here, same deal. So I have to pick a road and get on it. I can't go south, remember, because of the squiggly thing. So I went and got up on this road. That cost me 4 of my movement. I would love to move 1 more space, but this guy's in the way. So I was really wondering, why is this guy down here? And did I possibly move him the wrong direction? I think I made an error on my first impulse by putting him here, because he's now interfering with these guys and their ability to get into the fight. Okay, so with all that explained, we're looking at a battle here where this is a 2 chit minimum. He has an improved position. That's the other thing. I was looking for engineers so I can destroy his improvement position. Not going to happen. This is 2, and this is 3 more for 5. And there's an elite unit, which makes it 6 for the chit draw. So 2 minimum, 6 maximum. Now I could play, for example, an artillery, and I will. So that makes it 7 maximum. And I'm going to play an infantry infiltration. So we're going to do these 2. Fixed artillery is always the harder one to play. So we're going to do all of these. So this is going to be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Our impulse is going to be over. But that's fine. But we're going to activate these purple guys. We're going to do 1 battle to get across this bridge. And I'm going to add artillery, and this infantry infiltration is going to make it so we're flanking them, even though we really aren't. They're not in the city. They do have an improved position, though. So that's our situation. So, like I said, 2 chits minimum. And once again, just a reminder, that's because of the 2 pips here. That means that's 2 chits minimum. And then we count our units that are not bracketed. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? So that's 5 maximum. Then we add 1 more for each tactic, so 6, 7, and then 1 more because this guy's elite, or that whole stack is elite, but you only need 1 of them to be elite. That becomes 8. Okay, so 2 minimum, 8 maximum. If one of these had 3 pips on them, it would have become 9, but it's 8 right now. Okay, so we're going to do this. We're going to attack 2 minimum, 8 maximum. Now, one more calculation we need to do. He has a strength of 3. This is a 7 strength, and then this is 4 plus 7, 3 is 7, plus 4 is 11. However, we're attacking across a river, so that means it's half strength. So 11 divided by 2 is 5. You round down. You don't ever round up. So 5 strength is being added from them, even though they're actually 11. And then 7 more here is 12. So 12 to 3 is, what is that, 4 to 1 odds. Okay, so that's still pretty good, 4 to 1. 8 to 1's better. but 4 to 1 odds is what we have, considering that we have to attack across a river. So 2 minimum, 8 maximum, 4 to 1 odds. Those are the 3 things you always have to figure out for a battle. Okay, so let's do a battle. First thing you do is you grab some chits. So it's 2 minimum, and here they are. Now, just a quick reminder, the Allies during attacks, do not draw allied cards for combat tactics. However, that's only for the first impulse. We're now in the second impulse, so they draw a card now. Okay, so before we continue resolving those chits, the Allies get to draw a card now during combat. And these cards stink, by the way. They can really ruin your day. So let's draw and see what we get. Okay, so we got a 5th corps. This is the first thing you need to look for, is what is the unit in question. So it's the 5th corps, and you can see that this little purple here. The 5th corps, by the way, is way up north there. So you can see a whole bunch of 5th corps units. Here's one, there's another one, and you can see the Roman numerals there. That's not who we're attacking. We're attacking the 8th corps here. So if the corps would have matched, then what would have happened is they would have had a what's called an undetected defender. And that was the thing I had you write down in your notes, that if this guy was disrupted, he would not have drawn this card. Okay? They don't draw a card if they're disrupted. But this guy's clearly not disrupted, and so he drew the card, and so this does not apply to him. And so the undetected defender is something, there's a whole chain of events that happen with it. We'll do that if it ever gets triggered. But right now, it didn't get triggered. However, this does get triggered. And so if this doesn't apply, then they apply the combat tactic. So they're going to apply reinforced battle. Now, I can tell you that this is not going to harm us at all. But let's go through the steps so you can see for yourself how this plays out. The reinforced battle, remember, this is the German one, so don't look at the wrong one. Reinforced battle is we're going to select a unit or stack that did not move or attack in this activation. And that's, of course, assuming that they're on the offense, but they're not. They're on the defense. So if defending, you're going to move into a hex with the defending units. And that means they're going to basically join the battle and change our odds and everything. For Allied, which is the AI player, select the unit/stack with the lowest numbered unit, if more than one. Preserving line and protecting VP takes priority. So these two keywords, let's stop and learn what those are, because those are very important. In fact, I ignored them way too much in my first playthrough. So there's a couple of places. The player aid is a nice place that lays out what those are. And here we go. Page 11 of the solo player aid is very helpful. It has all the action card terminology. So the two key words that came up was preserve line and protect VP hex. Do not create or enlarge a gap in the allied line. Okay, what does a gap mean? A gap is the ability for the Germans to trace communication all the way to the left. So here's a gap, and we've talked about this already. We punch through, and we now have a gap where we can go all the way through. This is a gap that the Allies want to close. The AI is going to put a lot of priority in putting units here and here to prevent this gap from staying open, okay? So let's assume for a second that this guy did not have zone of control issues and was able to go 1, 2, 3 and reinforce. He would not do it because in order to leave this to go here, he would create a gap. Do you see that? So by creating this gap, that makes the situation worse for the Allies than coming over to help him defend. So this guy cannot help him defend. Now there's multiple reasons he can't help him defend. This guy has zone of control here, this guy has zone of control there, and you have to be able to move within normal movement point. You know, I can't move from here to here, ever. This is zone of control to zone of control. So, but assuming that these units did not exist, he still would not do it because that would create a gap with this unit and can go straight through. So right now, this guy is holding or preserving the line. That's what he's doing. He's preserving the line by preventing a gap. And you see how he creates zone of control here, and this one creates zone of control there. If this unit moves just one space up, then this guy now has a gap. You see that? So that's the first thing. Then the protect VP is a lot simpler. If it's a space that has victory points written on it, like this one, they're going to never leave that space because it's a victory point spot, and they're basically protecting it with their lives. I don't want to say never. There might be a case where they would leave, but this is not one of them. And so that's what the two keywords are saying. So unfortunately, this guy is SOL, to put it nicely. He's calling for reinforcements because we're coming and there's none to be had. So he's on his own. And this combat tactic does not help him at all. So that's actually turned out to be really good news for us. Okay, so I said it was 2 minimum, 8 maximum, and then 4-to-1 odds. I can't believe I remember that because that's usually what happens to me is I go down these rabbit holes and then I have to recalculate my numbers. All right, so now we drew our 2 minimum here. And this is saying, do the Allies have air power? They don't. That would be an actual combat tactic that they would play. And then is it a large attack? It will be if we draw 7 chits. So let's just set this off to the side because this will happen if we draw 7 chits. Right now we're only drawing 2. And then this is saying, are we greater than or equal to 4-to-1? Yes, we are. We are exactly 4-to-1, so that's 1 hit. 1 hit only removes his improvement position, so we need to do at least 4 more. And this one needs at least 7, and we're guaranteed a hit if we draw 7. So we've drawn 2 already. We have the possibility to draw 6 more, and I'm going to say let's do it. Let's draw 6 more. So let's do it. We're going to draw 6. I want to destroy this unit. This guy was a pain in the butt the last time. So we're gonna take him out for a lobster, and we'll let him get some wine too. See here, 1, 2, 3. Now I got to stop, put these back in, and put these in the cup. So that's 3, And then I gotta shuffle, shuffle. I know we need to go. I'm gonna wrap up this battle and then we'll go, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ooh, which one fell last? I think it was this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, we can't ever have more than 8. Okay, so is it a flank attack? Yes, it is. Why is it a flank attack? Do you remember? Because I played infantry infiltration, and I know I didn't explain this, but infantry infiltration allows the infantry to have a flank on the unit, even though we don't meet the flank conditions of having 3 hexes filled with units, okay? So you can have less than 3 hexes attacking and still be flanking. Now, one thing that I get wrong all the time is pay attention, because if he was in a town like this, okay, you can't flank a town ever. So this is a useless tactic against a town. But that's not the case here. So anyways, we got another hit, which is awesome. Is the defender elite? No, it's not. Is the defender green? No. So that one just goes back in the cup. Are we 4-1? Yes. So this one applies. Are we 3-1? Yes. Allied air power? No. Is this the 5th Panzer Army? Yes. Okay, we're getting a lot of hits now. And greater than 2-1? Yes. Okay, so we are taking 2 hits. They're taking 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hits. So we pretty much overkilled him. But the first hit is, this is gone. The second hit is that chart I was telling you about. You guys might have overheard me say we need to go, and we do need to go. So I am rushing this a little bit, but I do want to slow down enough to show you the chart again. This is the section that you want to look at. I'm looking at A and seeing that they haven't retreated yet. If the hits is greater than, they're always going to retreat. So it's going to be BB and then AA. That's what's going to happen. So this guy, I mean, just to play it out, this guy wants to retreat here, and he will. So that will be B, and then that's going to get rid of one of his hits. And then it's going to be B again, so he'll retreat to here, and that's going to be another one of his hits. And then it's going to be A, and then since he already retreated twice, he's going to take a damage, and that'll be another one of his hits. And then the last of his hits is going to destroy him. So we just eliminated the unit. And that's how that would play out. And the rest of these hits were just overkill. But we take 2 hits ourselves. And so we do have to resolve that. I am more than happy to take 2 hits, although these are elite units, which stinks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and hit this unit. And then I'm going to do something that you're allowed to do for your second hit. I'm going to disrupt the units. So that I can do that instead of taking a second hit. Now, the unfortunate part is I can't move across the bridge and take this spot. But I'm not concerned. We eliminated the unit. They have no units here. So for right now, we're sitting in a really good spot. Now, that doesn't mean that on their next action, a reserve unit's not going to pop right in there. I'm not saying that, but right now we're in a wonderful position. And if I did move across, there's a chance I would have to do a roadblock check. Actually, I absolutely would have to do a roadblock check here. But for now, we're going to just disperse them because damaging an elite unit is very hard to repair. The way the repair rules work is the non-elite units have to get repaired first, and we already know that this is one of them. And so you have to repair everybody else that's in the core, and then the elites get repaired last, or reinforced, if you will, replaced, if you will. So yes, that is our command. And so we just got to make sure we put everything in the right discard pile. And that's it. So we just did another turn. This was a very successful impulse. It is now the allied impulse when I come back. And you always draw back up to your hand size. So we have 3. So we go here and just draw 3 more. Remember, December 16th continues until we run out of cards or we pass. So there's still more cards even after drawing 3. So we're going to be doing quite a few more impulses before December 16th is over. And I by no means have ever won this game, but my biggest advice to you is attack. That's all I have to say. Attack, attack, attack. Okay, so just to give you a sneak peek, we got a division card here, which has a command value of 0. So that's a pretty interesting one. And we have a yellow Panzer Army, which is super valuable. And we got another awesome card. These are awesome cards, and we got 2 of them. I'm so happy to see that we got 2 of them. And I do need to go, so I will let you go and say thank you for watching and stay awesome. Next videos will be quite a while. We're going to be gone for a while. So I hope this is enough to keep you guys going, and I appreciate all the feedback. And I think that this playthrough is going so much smoother than the first one. So stay awesome.
Wait. Let me just say that you upload videos every like an hour, so I think this should be good.
All right, very good. Thank you.